UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi takes place this Saturday, and I'm so excited to bring you guys my full fight card predictions. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the main event, man. We're not going to waste any time. So, Robert Whittaker versus Renier de Ritter. Robert Whittaker, he's coming off the loss against Hamzat Chimaev in October. It's actually pretty decently active for him to come back before a year layoff. You know, Bobby Knuckles loves taking a year off for no reason. But Renier de Ritter, a lot of momentum now, 3 straight wins in the UFC, GM3, which he went life and death with. And then Kevin Holland, easy win for him, took him down, got his back, submitted him. And Bo Nickel, who he KO'd, which was kind of a crazy upset at the time. So, a really interesting main event. I do not think this goes 5 rounds. I think there's going to be a finish one way or another just with the styles. And I'm going to pray that that finishes on the Bobby Knuckles side. Listen, man, I ask for so little in this life when it comes to fighting, when it comes to the generalness of everything. I want a Robert Whittaker win badder than I've ever wanted anything in my life, other than the co-main event, in which I also want a Piotr Jan win really bad. But either way, Robert Whittaker beat prime Yoel Romero 2 times. One of the scariest men on earth. He beat Yoel Romero twice. If you lose to Renier de Ritter, they have to execute you. As a human being, they need to execute you. And I'm sorry, retire if you lose to Renier de Ritter. This guy lost in one championship multiple times. GM3 took him to the brink of collapse. They were both on the ground wheezing after their fight. If you cannot beat RDR, you've lost me as a human being. You've lost me as a fighter. I love Bobby Knuckles. Look at him looking silly over there in the unicorn floaty. Shout out to Bobby Knuckles. But, you know, I think the more important thing that we need to learn here, and I mean this, if Renier de Ritter loses to Bobby Knuckles, this only affirms the truth, and this is an undeniable truth, that we all agree that Prime Robert Whittaker would beat Prime Anderson Silva. Do with that as you will. I think he beats him. Same way I think Ian Gary beats Prime GSP. But either way, moving on. Co-main event, Piotr No Mercy Jan versus Marcus McGee. Marcus McGee coming off that win versus Jonathan Martinez at UFC 309. He had a win over Gaston Bolaños before that, and I know nothing else. I think he beat JP Bays, just a random can in the Apex. But he's got a lot of KOs. He almost got finished by Jonathan Martinez by leg kicks in that fight. I had that fight not to go the distance, and McGee wouldn't quit, so fuck off. But Piotr Jan, he's resurging. The kid is back, man. No Mercy is back. It's unbelievable to witness. He's got the decision win over Sonya Dawn and the decision win over Figgy. Dominant in the Figgy fight, not so dominant in the Sonya Dawn fight, but that was earlier. He was a little shook up, whatever. He looked really good versus Figgy. I think that Piotr Jan wins this fight. He's going to Mog. Listen, man, Marcus McGee's ugly. I think we got to have that conversation. He's just an ugly-looking guy, but due to Piotr Jan mogging him with our better hairline, he's going to win this fight. You cannot be 35 years old and trying to contend for a belt as a prospect. If you're Charles Oliveira, our GOAT, our king, you can contend for about a 35 because you've been there for the years. You've done the work. You cannot be 35 years old and 10-1 or whatever this guy's record is and trying to, get to a title fight. It doesn't work like that. The world is going to move past you, little bro. You can see how autistic Piotr Jan is from the slide here. He's a beautiful, beautiful soul, really. He's the type that I would let Piotr Jan date my daughter. I don't know if anyone else would, but I enjoy Piotr Jan's presence. This guy's aura it's unbelievable. If you walk in on Piotr Jan cracking your daughter, you would not be mad at him. You'd say, okay, I understand. Thank you for doing this. You'd thank him for it, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So, Piotr Jan's winning. Next up, featured fight of this fight night, not a pay-per-view. Sharabullet Magomedov, or Sharaputin Magomedov, should I be more correct, is fighting Marc-Andre Barriault. This is a layup of the highest proportion. Marc-Andre Barriault KO'd Bruno Silva, who had lost like 5 in a row, and now they think we can put him against Sharabullet and people will think it's actually competitive. No, man, Marc-Andre sucks. Sharabullet also sucks because he lost to MVP, who is kind of sneaky bad. But also, speak of sneaky bad, look up MVP dad on Google. You'll find some interesting things there. But either way, Sharp Bullet 12-0 with KOs. He's 15-1. That one loss came at the hands of MVP, I believe in February, if I'm not mistaken. That was on the Adesanya and Imavov card. They're going to give him a win here, man. There's no way that they don't give Sharp Bullet a decision, even if he doesn't win. There's going to be horrible edits on my For You page and on my reels about this guy. His cool style is like his style is really cool with the kicks and like the weird elbows and the knees and shit, but he doesn't do it to hurt you. Like he just kind of throws kicks, like kind of out into space, and if they land, and it's cool. And speaking of things that are uncool, Sharbullet did in fact jump an old man like 3 years ago in Russia because he kissed his wife in public. That is a true story. You can look that up. He hid behind a corner and kicked him while he was on the ground and punched him. So, that's your guys' go, by the way. He's doing that. So, you're going to get Randall Stan edits, Z Pirate, the Diddy Blood. You're getting all of those edits on your TikTok. It's going to be a beautiful thing when those show up and he wins and the pirate is coming. So, shout out to Shara Bullet, man. Just a disgraceful human. Either way, Asu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. If you watch the video on Tuesday, you know exactly who I'm going with for this fight. We don't need any breakdown for this. I'm picking Asu Almabayev. Now, if you didn't watch the video, you should go watch it. But Jose Ochoa's coach is so fucking annoying to listen to that I am picking Asu Almabayev. I don't care if Jose Ochoa gets a KO. I'm not counting this against my record. His coach, every single time that Ochoa landed a kick in his first fight, woo! Like he's like screaming every single time, like he's Ric Flair. He's so excited that this guy's landing a fucking nasty calf kick, to the calf. But like it's just unbelievable, man. I'm not picking this guy for that. So Asu Almabayev, I'm picking you to wrestle this guy. Land your shots at range. He's a good kickboxer. He hung in there with Minel Cop. I've got faith in him. He got eye poked so bad in that fight, by the way. Like we call it the eye poke combo to finish. Of course they don't fucking care because eye pokes are basically legal in this sport. That is how he lost. Like he was competitive with Minel Cop. I thought he took a round off of him. Disgrace, but it is what it is. I think Asu Almabayev wins. He learned from that fight. That's my guess. Next up, man, final fight of this main card. Nikita Krylov and Bogdan Guskov. Nikita Krylov has finished 28 of 30 wins in his professional MMA career. He's coming off the loss to Dominic Reyes at 3-14 in April. And Bogdan Guskov is coming off, I forget what pay-per-view it was. Maybe it was the 311 card, where he was fought Billy Elicana, who's also on this card, which is funny enough. I'm not going to be picking him. Billy Elicana was like weirdly competitive with Guskov for the first round, and then genuinely just quit in the second round. Like he was sitting on the ground, just asking to be submitted. He put his head inside of a guillotine on purpose and quit. Fascinating stuff. Guskov also has a KO over Span and Zach Pualga, I want to say. But an interesting matchup, given that Nikita Krylov is coming off of a 3-month turnaround where he was KO'd unconscious by Dominic Reyes. 3 months for him to fight again, which means he had to have been training immediately. I'm still going to pick him. Because that is how MMA works. It doesn't make any sense. Surely if you got knocked unconscious into the Shadow Realm in April, no way in mid-July would you be able to come back and not be knocked out again. But Nikita Krylov fights like an idiot. He fights dumb. But he's just going to bum rush Bogdan and probably KO him. That's honestly how the sport works. I'm going to go with it. Literally, this was him 3 months ago. Unconscious on the ground, getting his face bashed in by Dominic Reyes. I do not know who his management is. I don't know why they would do this for him at this point in his career. He's still a very talented guy. Although his nickname's The Miner. So I think we got to have some questions about that for sure. But, it's a miner with a need, not know. It is what it is. Next up, Said Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell. Now, I will say this before anything else. I do not have faith that Bryce Mitchell is going to make 135. He was struggling to make 145. But if he makes 135, I believe that Bryce Mitchell is going to win. Bryce Mitchell, listen, man, he lost to Gene Silva. He did beat... who did he beat before that? He beat somebody. Oh, he beat Kron Gracie at 310. That's who he beat. And then he lost to Josh Emmett way before that. I do believe that Said gasses in every single fight. That's not even a belief. It's true. He gasses in literally every fight after the first round. And if you follow Bryce Mitchell on social media, he knows a little bit about gassing. But either way, Bryce Mitchell, I really think that this guy's so dumb. I think that in his heart, he believes that Said Nurmagomedov is a brother of Habib. So he's training really hard, thinking he's like the next messiah of the sport. So he's going to win this fight. Also, random unrelated note. Do you guys remember when he said that like a goth girl, like a witch girl, broke his heart? Like this like real like Arkansas guy that like it was crazy when he was talking about this, but just a funny individual, but it is what it is. I think he wins that fight. I think Saeed gasses. Either way, Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leao. First of all, man, why is Muslim Salikov not bald? Look at this hairline. This is unbelievable. He's got a stretch of hair coming one way forward and nothing behind it. I do not know why he's not bald. I don't know why he's holding this. The guy's 41. I mean, we got to find another job, man. We got to do something. Although I think his name's like the King of Kung Fu, which is cool. But either way, Carlos Leao coming off the KO win versus Alex Morono, and in my opinion, he beat Rinat Fakhretdinov before that. He's been very active. Muslim Salikov is coming off a KO versus San Kenan. It was a cool spinning back kick. If he catches anyone with that, they go unconscious, so I'll give him that. And then I thought he lost to Ponzinibbio in the fight before that, but he got the win. It was close. I think Carlos Leao wins. Listen, man, Carlos Leao is on an amount of steroids that John Jones would be so incredibly jealous of. And that is the actual reaction that John Jones made when he heard about Carlos Leao's steroid stack. I think Salikov is not that good. He's 41 years old. He might have been good when he was 32. But the way he fights is real flat-footed. He's looking for one move to knock you out. I think Leao is going to come in and finish him. I do think Leao is going to lose eventually. He keeps his chin very high, so something to keep note of at least. But, I mean, look at this guy, man. First of all, traps coming out of the back of his fucking skull. He has acne all over his chest and on his back. Not a natural thing for how old is he? 31? A 31-year-old should not have that much acne on their chest and on their back. It's impossible unless you take steroids. Just ridiculous stuff. I don't know how he hasn't been caught, but we move. Next up, Davy Grant versus Damon Blackshear. Sneaky banger, actually, this on the prelims. I didn't know this was even on there, but shout out to this. Davy Grant is 39 years old. You never know if he's going to win or lose. He's been robbed in a bunch of split decisions in his career. Just kind of a weird fighter. He's been subbed a bunch of times, which is why Damon Blackshear is a big favorite. But he was in there with a Sun Sao for 3 rounds and actually pulled off an inverted triangle on a Sun Sao. So I am going to go with Davy Grant because it's the type of fight he wins. He looks like a mix of the two guys on the bottom right. He is England's hardest bloke for sure. Damon Blackshear cannot escape the fraud check that is coming to him by 39-year-old Davy Grant. This guy literally just eats like mushy peas and plays footy with his friends in his free time. There's no way that he trains actual MMA. But Damon Blackshear was losing to Cody Gibson before Cody Gibson put himself in a guillotine in the second round. So I'm going Davy Grant. Probably won't win, but I got to take a shot in the dark after that Michael Johnson prediction last week. Either way, Tabitha Ricci and Amanda Ribas is, I believe, the only female fight on this card. And it's just tricky, man. Tabitha Ricci is so terrible at fighting. She basically fluked her way to the top of the division by just kind of bum rushing and getting meaningless takedowns and kind of controlling you to a victory. Ribas has skill, but she's also kind of dumb as a fighter. Like, she tries hip throws, and she tried to throw Rose Namajunas from the head a couple times. She's dumb. She's a good striker. She can actually fend off people well on the ground. It's a tricky fight. I think that Amanda Ribas is going to win. Ricci just kind of stands at range. I'm so tired of seeing her and her boyfriend on the fucking UFC broadcast. They're showing it. Her boyfriend's actually a good boxer, so we'll see if he does anything. But either way, I think Ribas is good enough to kind of stay away for the 3 rounds and just kind of kick her at range. And maybe there's a moment where she's in a rear naked choke and she fights her way out or something. But I think Ribas wins like a 29-28 type of decision, women's MMA style. Next up, Billy Elikana versus Ibo Aslan. I'm a big Ibo Aslan guy. I know he lost his last fight to Iwan Kutalaba, but you never know whether Iwan Kutalaba is going to be the greatest fighter of all time or the worst fighter of all time, hence his last fight. Billy Elikana's dog shit. I'm not going to spend any time on this fight. The Last Ottoman is one of the hardest nicknames I've ever heard in the sport. And Billy Alicana genuinely quit halfway through his fight, so I'm not picking that. The Last Ottoman's tough. He's going to knock him out in the first round. If not, then maybe it gets interesting, but I doubt it. Anyways, second to last fight on this card, Stephen Nguyen versus Muhammad Yahya. We have not seen Stephen Nguyen since Jarno Aarons, by the way, who's not in the UFC anymore, beat the dog shit out of him. Like, over 3 rounds, it was like the greatest performance of Jarno Aarons' career. Nguyen showed that he was crazy tough, though, which is good for him. Good long layoff, I like. I don't know why the UAE keeps trying to push Muhammad Yahya on us. I guess it's because it's their only fighter that is UFC caliber, kind of. He got KO'd in his last fight. I'm going to go Stephen Nguyen. Muhammad Yahya lost to Trevor Peek. If you guys have ever seen Trevor Peek fight, you know that that is a horrible loss. The guy looks like Minecraft Steve. He fights like he is straight off of a farm and you just put gloves on his hand. I think Stephen Nguyen is going to win this fight. Stop pushing UAE fighters. They all suck. But, this isn't the guy. So, Stephen Nguyen wins. Final fight of the night. I am not spending a second on this fight. If Martin Buday wins another fight in the UFC, I will stop watching the sport forever. And I'm half joking, half serious about that. Martin Buday is terrible at fighting. I do not know what he does. He just kind of stands menacingly at range and clinches up with you. He got rocked by a guy who was on 24 hours notice and was supposed to be a light heavyweight in his last fight. I thought that guy won the fight, mainly because I was hate watching. Buchecha is a legend of BJJ. Everyone knows him for being a great submission artist. I think he is going to come in and he's going to submit Martin Buday. I've done zero research on this fight. I do not care to do research on it. I'm going to bet on Buchecha. I'm going to put my house on Buchecha. That's what I'm going to do. So if he loses, I'll send him a death threat in the DMs. It is what it is. I'm going Marcus Buchecha over Martin Buday. If you pick Martin Buday, you are an eternal enemy to me. So that is going to do it for the UFC Saudi Arabia card. It's unfortunate that they get all these good cards and we get fucking... What did we get? We got Blanchfield versus fucking Macy Barber at the Apex, but that fight didn't even happen. We get those types of fights. It is what it is. I know the politics. I know what's going on here. So, thank you everybody for watching and listening in. TikTok is at Money Manziel MMA. I post YouTube Shorts every day. I post TikToks every day. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much again. Like, comment, and subscribe if you are new. I don't know if there's a video coming tomorrow. We'll have to see to see what I end up posting, but I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace out.